Hello everyone, thank you for coming once again. I want to thank everyone for coming today. It's not easy to do this every time you have a speech, but getting everyone together, tremendous help, thank you all. My name is Lucas Cordova. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about some of the experiences I've had in my life where I found many people aren't educated in certain aspects of finance. I work at a car dealership, so every day I see people come in financing cars or spending a lot of money when they really shouldn't be. It's not, I promise. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. What I really want to peg down for you guys are the differences between leases and financing outright. Most of the time, people really, those are the two options that they're really offered, and most of the time people don't really see themselves as having options. So the first thing I want to talk about are leases. They're the most infrequent that I found with vehicles, at least. Leases essentially is renting for a set period of time. With a lease, you're offered some rights by the owner to own the property, vehicle, or any personal property for a set period of time. Leasing for vehicles, for example, most of the time the contracts are around 3 years. You hold on to the vehicle for that time period. After that, you give it back. Now, that might not sound that great, but the positives are with leasing, since you're not actually paying anything off, you're paying to rent the vehicle, or you're paying to rent whatever you're renting. It's actually, the payments are much lower than they would be if you were financing. And so it really depends on what your goals are, whether it be short-term or long-term, and what you're looking to do with your investments. For vehicles, most people tend to stay away from leasing. Leasing is a lot more prevalent in the phone market, as well as with taxis, Uber, or Lyft. That's when it's most prevalent, because with leasing, you really do dodge a lot of maintenance cost, upkeep, because after about 5 years, cars need to get maintenance and stuff like that. So if you only own a car for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you really kind of dodge those things. In the phone market, it's really prevalent because your phone starts to break down or it becomes obsolete after around 2 or 3 years. So after the lease, you don't really need to hang on to yours anymore. You know, when the new iPhone X came out, everyone's phones were kind of acting up, and they're like, well, this is not working anymore, I need to upgrade. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Is when you own that phone and it's acting up, are you really going to use it anymore? Do you think it was a good investment? That's really up to you. It's about your priorities at that point, and whether or not you want to hold on to it and you want to own the iPhone 6, 7, or what have you, or if you want to just lease it, save yourself a little bit of money and just upgrade to the next phone, which you probably will be doing anyway. So the positives of leases are, depending on your goals, they can really meet the short term, save yourself a good amount of money, as well as not really put you into too deep an investment if you don't need to be. Now with financing is also straightforward. That's what most people do on vehicles. All you do is when you're going to buy a vehicle and you don't have all the money up front, you have the money lended to you from either a lender, lien holder, what have you. They give you the money up front and then you pay them back with interest. That's how they make their money. And so that's how most people make the money. They want to go for the long-term investment with cars. Most of the time people don't want to have a car for 3 years. They want to have it for 10, 15. I have a 98 Corolla. It's older than I am, and so it's definitely been a good investment. But like I said, it's about priorities. Do you want to have that car for a few years? Do you want to have it for the rest of your life? Do you want the freedom to choose? When you finance the vehicle and fully paid off, you own the vehicle. Whereas if you lease, you never own it. And so you really just want to look at what's good for you. What are you trying to do? What's the term of the investment? And what do you want to do after the investment? And so with financing, however, there is one big drawback that you don't find with leasing, is that if you have bad credit, if the offers for financing and the prices you get for monthly payments are outrageous, you're not going to make a good return on that investment. I get a lot of people come in with 28% interest rate on $25,000 financing. That ends up being $50,000 over the long run that you pay. You could have bought 2 vehicles. And so you really want to make sure you're approaching with the best mindset, as well as you're doing what's best for you. A lot of times when people come into finance, they actually don't have either great credit, and they say, well, what can I do about it? I'm just going to pay it all back anyway. Unless it's a pending investment that you need to do, you should try to hold off, see what you can do, look at your options, look into leasing. With financing, look to improve your credit. One thing you can do to try to cut down your financing a little bit is if you can put an extra $1,000 down. If you have 28% interest, if you have a high interest rate, an extra $1,000 of financing can end up being an extra $6,000 over 5 years. And so when you end up having a 5-6 year commitment monthly payments, that's when it starts to become a real big issue. And when people come in to me all the time, they're always like, well, this is what I think I'm supposed to do, this is what they're telling me to do, I didn't really look into it, but this is what people do, right? Wrong. You should always be involved in your finances. You should always know what you're doing. You shouldn't be uneducated about anything where you're spending your money, especially when you're spending your money. You should always know what you're putting your money towards. Some people come and they don't even know who they're paying for their bills. They just say, yeah, I have a pay off for the car. I owe someone money for it. I don't know who I'm paying through. Basically, what I'm trying to say for you guys, think about what's best for you, whether it be short term, long term. Do some research so when you go in, you can save yourself some money. Thanks. Show me again.